name is Jaimie and I'm a teaching artist with BRIC. I am a multidisciplinary artist, which means I work in painting, drawing, performance, ceramics, sculpture, all sorts of different art practices. So today I'm going to teach you how to make your own shadow puppetry show with stuff that you might have hopefully hanging out around your house. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do it. Just to give you a little overview, first we're going to write out our story. Second, we're going to list out all of the puppets that we're going to make in that story. Third, we're going to draw the puppets. Fourth, we are going to cut the puppets out and attach them to sticks. 5, we are going to make our own puppetry screen. And if you don't want to make a screen, you can do the old-fashioned method of just using a flashlight. And then we're going to practice and do our puppet show. For this activity, you're going to need a good amount of paper. If you only have regular paper, that will work. It'll just be a little fragile. But if you have cardstock that's a lot thicker, that usually works the best if you have it. You'll need something to put on the bottom of your puppets. So if you have popsicle sticks or straws, bamboo skewers are wonderful. I don't have any. Even if you just have pens and pencils, really you could use those because you're just going to tape masking tape onto them. But really anything that's strong and is acting like a stick. Scissors, those are great. Also, again, pens and pencils, but not as your sticks this time because you're going to need to draw your puppets and to write out your story. As many different types of tape that you have are great. Masking tape is usually really great for paper and cardstock. We've got scotch tape, which is really great if you are doing more detailed puppetry, and I'll show you that later. And then if you have packing tape, that's great if you're gonna make a screen because that really works well for taping cardboard. Also, if you have any fun materials around the house, especially different colors of cellophane, I was really lucky to be able to find these. These are wonderful to have for shadow puppets because you're gonna be able to see those colors through your shadow puppet screen. Also, if you have other fun objects that maybe have types of texture that light will go through, I found these feathers. You can experiment with other objects and materials that might show light through them in a cool way. But any fun stuff that you might want to have around to experiment with is always just a nice added bonus. So today, the shadow puppetry story that I am going to be making is going to be my favorite ghost story that I loved to tell when I was a kid. So you can make whatever story you want. If you don't like ghost stories, you could make up your very own story. So it could be maybe the story of the best day of your life. Maybe it's the story of the day that you had today. Maybe it's a story that already exists. Maybe it's your favorite fairy tale that you loved reading when you were a kid. Really, any story you want is great. But if you're going to make your own story, you want to make sure you have extra time so you can sit and write that story out. For my shadow puppetry story, I'm going to be remaking my favorite ghost story that I always loved as a kid called The Big Hairy Toe, which I'm very excited about. So I'm looking it up on the internet right now and I'm going to write it out. Generally, I think 2 to 4 paragraphs is a good length for a shadow puppetry story. Get as detailed as you want and have fun writing it. When you are reading each sentence, really try to visualize what puppets could be in each sentence. So when I had my first sentence, once there was an old woman who went out into the woods to dig up some roots to cook for dinner. So what puppets could I make just from that first sentence? We have an old woman who went out into the woods so I could make a forest. She wanted to dig up some roots so I could make a puppet of roots coming out of the ground. I could make a puppet of a shovel. But just think of every sentence and how many puppets could be in there. The more puppets you have, the better you're gonna be able to tell your story, but you don't wanna overwhelm yourself either. So just do what seems good for you and the amount of time that you have. So the first thing I did was start to write out my entire story, and I started to list all the different puppets that I'm going to make. And one thing I love to do is kind of organize them and list out what are the most important puppets that I should be making in order, just so that I don't forget about something that's important. So now I'm going to start to draw my puppets. I'm drawing the roots right now, which I'm kind of making up. I don't even know if I know how to make roots, but it's my own creative project and I can do whatever I want. So here's going to be my roots puppet. And I've drawn a couple other puppets, and another thing that you want to think about is the size of the puppets, okay? And sometimes you want to make more than one puppet of the same thing that's different sizes. So for example, here's my old woman. So when I want to just focus on the woman, or if she's speaking, maybe I'll just have her face. But if she's walking through the forest, I might have another puppet of her that's her whole body, and I can show her walking into the forest with trees going by her. So a couple of tips for when you're drawing. Instead of, if I'm going to draw a forest and draw a tree, I don't want to draw a ton of trees that are small like this or that have tons and tons of details unless I'm a really experienced cutter, okay? And I want to spend a ton of time cutting out the puppets. So if you want to do something a little bit quicker and easier, you're going to draw nice big trees, right? And don't have to do crazy details because that's going to take a really long time. So it kind of depends on what your age is and if you have to have the smaller scissors or not. But don't worry too much about the details, and I would go bigger if you are not that experienced in cutting. And also, when you're cutting out your puppets, no one's gonna see your lines, okay? So if I didn't like how I drew this right here, I can just start right here and cut it from here, because the only thing that anyone's gonna see is the final object that you can cut, that you cut out. Just worry about making nice cuts and you will be fine. Because really, you're not going to see any of these extra lines. This is what the audience is going to see right here. If I'm drawing someone's face, which seems to be a pretty common puppet in a puppet show, I'm going to show you why you want to make your drawing pretty big, especially when it comes to faces, because you always want to check the opposite side, because that's what your audience is going to see. So right now, we see this face, but if I turn it over, this is the only thing that your audience is going to see once this becomes a shadow puppet. So if I want to see the eyes and the nose and the mouth, I have to cut those out. So you don't want to stab the scissors into the eye to try to cut these eye holes out or the nose or anything like that. What you can actually do is you cut in to your drawing like this, okay? And I'm even going to cut all the way in here to get this, to cut out this little part. And this is not the way that people usually cut things out, right? We're not used to being able to cut right in. It feels wrong. But what you can do is, now that I have this cut mark, all you have to do is take some Scotch tape and you just tape that right back up. So this is no longer going to be like this because I'm going to tape it down. And this is what your audience is going to see. So now you can see that little eye hole, but you can't tell that I made that cut right there, okay? So you're going to spend a whole lot of time doing that. So I'm going to go to get that nose. I'm going to cut all the way through and just cut out that little marker line. So basically, you are using the scissors to cut out every single line that you made with your marker or your pen or your pencil, okay? So you're basically taking all those little lines and you cut those little details out, okay? So I'm gonna tape this up right here. See that? And when I turn it around, you can see an eye and a nose right there. So if I want to see where this little hairline ends, I'm going to do the same thing again. So I don't just cut the one line with the scissors, but I'm going to make these little details. So I'm going to cut it once, and I'm going to cut it out again so I get that full marker line. And then I can see the hairline of my little grandma. Okay, so now I cut this part out and I'm going to tape it. I'm going to tape that right here, which my audience won't see. So, can you tell that you can see the hairline, the eyes, and the nose. So here's my full body drawing of my grandma puppet. And just to show you how I cut that out, you can see right here. This is how my audience will see it. So you can see that I cut out the glasses, the eyes, nose, and mouth, and under the chin, and then where the hairline is, and little lines where the arm is, and her cane, and where her hand is clutching a book. So all those little details are what's going to make her come to life. In my story of the big hairy toe, I think one of the sentences says, she spotted something funny sticking out of the leaves and dug around until she uncovered the great big hairy toe. So when I visualize that happening in my shadow puppetry show, I see a forest scene with a tiny hairy toe sticking out of the roots. And then later on, when we're talking about the big hairy toe, we're going to want a big hairy toe also. So I'm drawing what I think the big hairy toe looks like. And then I'm going to use this opportunity to find all those fun items that I had, like the different cellophanes, and cut those out, because I'm going to show you just how cool they look in the shadow puppetry show. Because that's the only way you're going to see color, is when it's translucent. So when the light goes through it, because the cellophane, as you can see right through it. That means it's translucent, so that means the light is also going to go through it, okay? So I added this color to my big hairy toes, and I made a baby one and a big one for my story. So now when you are done with your puppets, you're going to grab your sticks, whether it's a pencil, popsicle stick, straws, bamboo skewers, anything that's long and thin and a little bit sturdy. So I'm going to flip these over to the back, and I'm going to tape them on. Try not to get the stick anywhere near the little cuts that you made, because if you cover those up, then you won't be able to see those cuts anymore. So I'm just going to take little pieces of tape. I'm going to do it multiple times to get it as strong as possible. And there we go. We've got one of these puppets. If you've got something tiny, you got to just be a little bit more delicate with it. Try and get little pieces of tape and just be really nice and careful. Okay. And then for my grandma here, I'm thinking I might want to do something a little more lightweight and a little longer. So I'm going to use my straw for that instead. And I'm going to put it at an angle because I don't really want it to be right in the middle of her legs, because I don't want it to be mistaken for a third leg. So I am going to do it from the side. You can really do it wherever you want, but again, I'm going to avoid getting tape near those cuts that I made. There we go. If you're going to make a screen for your puppets, what you need is a box. So any old box that it's okay for you to cut a big hole into it. And then you're going to want a paper that can be a little bit translucent, which means that light will go through it. You don't want it to be clear or too thin, but a white kind of translucent paper is great. I happen to have this roll of white paper, which works amazing. But if you don't have a big roll like this where you can kind of make a really big screen, maybe you just have access to white paper like this, like computer paper, then you're going to want to make your screen, when you cut it out, you're going to want it to be either the same size as this paper, or you're going to have to double it up like this. And the way that you're going to cut this out, you're probably going to want to have a parent help you, because you know cardboard's really difficult to cut. So I happen to have this box cutter, so I'll show you how to do this, but really you want to have a parent help you with this, because box cutters are really sharp and you can cut yourself really easily. So if you're going to make a screen, I would say you should really have a parent helping you, but there's always the easy way of using a flashlight. So if you have a phone that has a flashlight, that's really easy, or if you have a flashlight around the house, then I'll show you that too. So don't worry if you don't have a cutter and you can't make a screen, because you can still have an awesome puppet show. So the first thing I'm going to do is flip this over to the side that's already sealed. If neither side is sealed, just go ahead and seal it up with some more packing tape. So what I'm going to do is just draw out where I want my screen. I you generally just make it a smaller rectangle inside of where the box is. So we have a little bit of a lip on all four sides so that we can tape our paper on the inside. And then you're gonna have an adult cut this out. But this is how the box cutter works. But again, this is very, very sharp. So you definitely want a parent to do this for you, or a helper, an adult helper. So I'm just cutting out all four sides, being very careful. And you want to make sure that you stop before you get to that edge. Follow your marker line. Okay, I'm going to pop this out. And then I'm going to save this. I'll tell you why in a minute. And I got to cut out these flaps too. Alright, so now we've got our rectangle hole. So the first rectangle that we cut out is the exact size of this. So I'm going to use this for when I cut out my white paper screen. We're done with this, so we can close this up and put this away. So when I lay out this paper, I'm going to take this and draw out the same square, or excuse me, rectangle. And I'm gonna know that I need my screen to be bigger than this so that we have that extra flap that's gonna be taped underneath here. So we know this is the size of my screen. So I'm gonna want it to be a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna go about 1 inch bigger all the way around so that there's plenty of room to tape it to the inside of the box. Okay. And then I'm going to take the box, open it up from the back. And it should fit in there pretty perfectly. Can you see? Come on over. So I'm going to take my packing tape and tape along the edges so that this screen will stay in all the way. Just gonna get a bunch of little pieces, tape it here and there. Just don't want it to fall out, and keep it nice and sturdy. Okay, it should look like that. I have cut out all of my puppets. I've got them on their sticks. Now what I'm going to do is plan the show, okay? So who's doing the show? Is it just you? Are you doing it with friends or family members? Any way works, but regardless, you're going to want to practice. So think about your puppets. What order do they go in? Do your characters have different voices? Oh, hello there, little boy. Oh, where's my big hairy toe? Yes, exactly. So you're going to want to think about how these characters move and who's going to be picking up what when. Are there any lighting effects or sound effects that you want to happen? You can make this as crazy as you want to, depending on what you have access to, how many people are helping. But also, all you need is you and the puppets and the screen and a light, and you already have an awesome show, okay? So I'm going to show you how this works. I got a light. I found a light out in my garage, which seems to work, okay? You can use a flashlight or kind of any bright light that could go behind here. So I'm going to plug this in and show you this screen lighting up. Okay? So now, I'm going to show you a few different puppets. We've got our little grandma here. So you're going to think about, how does she move? How does she walk? Is she shaking maybe? Sometimes little old grandmas shake when they walk, right? Okay, maybe she's a really hyper energetic grandma that bounces all around. And also experiment with what these puppets look like when they move fast, when they come a little bit off of the screen and get a little hazy, okay? And also let's try the ones that have some color. So here's my big hairy toe. Can you see the yellow and the green? Okay? So you can experiment with how these move and what they look like when they come off the screen, especially if you're having a ghost story like I am. This kind of looks pretty scary, huh? Okay, so you're going to want to line up your puppets, and either just by yourself with your script, with the story, or with whoever else you're working with, do some practice rounds first. And then when you're ready, I don't know if you're going to have any sound effects. You can make them with your mouth or with objects around your house, or you can use a computer with sound effects on YouTube. But you're going to want to get in a really dark space and start your puppet show. Okay? Let's see what it looks like in the dark. Don't forget, if you don't make a screen and you just want to use your cell phone flashlight, you can have an awesome puppet show with that as well. Check it out. Thank you for watching. That was so much fun. I really hope you guys do amazing shadow puppet shows, and I know you're gonna do great. You're awesome.